Welcome everyone to another episode of Latte Words, where we sip some coffee and talk about words. As you can see, we are not in our usual setup, and that is because I'm in the middle of moving. We are moving house, and I'm so excited because this is going to really free up so much space, both mentally and physically, for me to be able to deliver more YouTube videos. There's no real reason why I'm saying that it'll free up time and space for me. It just, in my mind, I think it'll be clearer and easier for me to do things. I think a lot of it too is that we're actually going to be buying the house, which is crazy to me. So we're going to have so much more control over the organization methods that we can use and how we can set things up. And I think that's gonna free up so much more of my time because I'm constantly trying to declutter this house and clean, and it takes up so much time. So that was kind of the other reason that I have not been posting lately, is we just don't have the right space for it. And this does not look good. I am aware the lighting is terrible and my mic is in a weird spot, so this might sound weird when I edit it. And I was just kind of holding off because I really prefer having a good quality video for you all. I think that's so important. And I don't know if this is gonna be, and I'm sorry in advance, but I wanted to balance good quality with also delivering. So hopefully this is okay. And I just really wanted to get at least one video out right now while we're in the middle of this crazy move. And I will be doing a little vlog, I think, of our move and our new place and setting it up. And I'm really excited. Anyway, that's not even what this video is about. I need to get into the actual meat of this video, which is talking about what happened to me when we finally went home to San Diego for the first time in 4 years. I had not been to the US in 4 years, and so much has happened in that period of time, from getting married to having a baby, the pandemic, so many things. It's just been crazy. I got my master's degree too. I keep forgetting about that. But yeah, and all that time I had not gone home once. And so finally going home was such an exciting and weird experience, and I thought I would do a blog post about it. So this video kind of accompanies the blog post, which I'll link down below. I just wanted to have a little bit more of a chat about it on here and let you know how it went. So I think, like most people, before I left, I kind of had this expectation that it would be this kind of homecoming and I would feel like I was welcomed back with open arms, and I don't know, that I was in a place where I belonged. And, you know, being an American in the UK has been amazing, and I don't think I've ever really been treated poorly at all. I've been very, very fortunate, but I've always been very aware of my accent. So whenever I would speak, I would notice people would kind of be giving me like side glances or be like, oh, you're American. And it would always kind of set me apart a little bit. And it always just was in the back of my mind, I guess. And what was interesting too is over time, even though there are obviously Americans here and even in my neighborhood, I would get to the point where if I heard an American accent here, my brain would kind of like light up and be like, American. And it would be so obvious to me, and I'd get a little bit excited, but it would still be this obvious occurrence. So I knew that it would be the same for everyone hearing me. And I'm an introvert, I don't like being noticed. So the idea that my accent was different to everybody else's made me feel a little, I guess, self-conscious. And so I was excited to just be surrounded by fellow Americans and have the right accent. I don't know, that sounds wrong, but like have the accent that matched everybody else. It just seemed really nice and cozy to me, I guess. I don't know. What I wasn't expecting was how weird I would find hearing so many other people speaking in my accent. So when we got on the flight, which was an American Airlines flight, everyone was speaking with an American accent. And while my brain had before kind of heard an American accent here and there and would be like, American, American. Now it was like, American, 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 American. And it was like this overload almost of, oh my gosh, I'm surrounded by Americans. And it was like a weird jolt that I had never experienced living in America because I was used to the accent. But coming back to it, it was strange, and it kind of took my brain a little bit of time to kind of I guess, calm down, because it was just constantly hearing this accent that it knew so well and that sparked excitement. And I don't know. Does this make sense to anybody who has lived abroad and then come home and heard their own language or accent and felt weird? So yeah, the plane ride was actually not that bad with a toddler. He slept a lot of the way, which we were shocked about because it's Sebastian and he never sleeps. Never. And when we got to the airport, my parents picked us up. We actually went straight into LAX so that we would get a nonstop flight, and that was a great idea. And I remember driving home on the freeway and seeing so many pickup trucks. I hadn't realized at all, it hadn't dawned on me that there are no pickup trucks in London. Like, I never see them. Then suddenly they were just surrounding us. Everyone was driving a freaking pickup truck. It was just the weirdest experience. And also just driving by all of the big shopping centers and the malls and the big box stores, I got really excited because that was something that for some reason I was really missing. And just knowing that I was gonna be going in them. I know that's silly, but there's one thing about the US that I hadn't really appreciated, and that's that we just have so many options for so many things. And even being in a country like the UK, which is so similar to the US already, and it's a first world country, it's not like there's any limitations necessarily, but for instance, in the US, you have an entire aisle, and these aisles are huge. They're not just regular like UK aisles, they're like twice the size. It's an entire aisle of just cereal boxes. And so just the amount of stuff that you can get and the amount of choice that you have, it's mind-blowing. And I remember when we first moved here that I felt like, where are all the things? And then I was thinking, well, maybe it's just because I don't know where to look and it'll just take time. And then I kind of forgot about it. And now I realize I was just coming off of like this things addiction from the US, and it was weird. And it was weird going back and having so many choices. And yeah. And one of the first things I did when we arrived, actually, I need to make a special note of this because I already miss it. In the US, we have toilet seat covers, just disposable toilet seat covers. And I realized that that does not exist in the UK very quickly. And you don't know discomfort until you know how it feels to take a roll of toilet paper and have to like put it carefully on the seat while you need to pee. After living a lifetime of comfort with those disposable ones, I missed them so much. And none of the countries that we traveled to in the past 4 years had toilet seat covers. And I always made a mental note of that because I was missing them so much. So when we arrived, the first thing I did was run to the restroom in the airport and just like, oh, finally my toilet seat covers. I miss them. So in terms of feeling like I was in a place where I was like a local or belonged or something, or no longer a foreigner, I didn't feel that. I actually, the first few days at least, kind of felt like a foreigner because everything just seemed so weird to me and foreign, even though it was exactly the same as it had been growing up. For instance, my house. You know how when you grow up in the same house and it looks huge to you when you're a kid, and then you go back and you realize, oh, it's actually very small. Not this time. This time I got home and I was like, was the living room always this big? Geez, the bathroom is huge. And the backyard. And just everything. Like, it was all huge. And the stairs weren't crazy steep and like about to kill you. You could actually like walk up and down the stairs without feeling like you were gonna trip on yourself. It was amazing and huge and more than I ever remembered it being. And that was weird as well. Just everything. Everywhere I looked, it just seemed all bigger than my memory. And I think also in terms of just dealing with other people, that the thing that I noticed in the UK is when you're walking on the street, you have way less of a physical bubble around you, like a personal bubble, compared to in the US. And in the US, people give you a big bubble compared to here. And I think I had gotten used to here because I think I was getting into people's personal space a little bit too much. Like, I noticed like people saying like, hey, coming through and stuff like that, even though they had tons and tons of space around me and I had to get out of the way even though I wasn't in the way, I thought. I feel like there was a mentality shift for me over the past 4 years into kind of a smaller space, and everybody back home has a very different mentality of space and moving around, and that had changed dramatically for me and I hadn't really noticed. And then we haven't even talked about the pandemic and all the changes there. That was weird because for me, I spent the entire pandemic in the UK and I'd only heard about everything happening in the US and in my hometown. And my memory of my hometown is pre-pandemic. And so to go there during the pandemic or kind of post-pandemic and kind of seeing the masks and the signs and the hand sanitizer, it was just a very interesting experience to see that the world changed in that way. It was also interesting because I was under the impression that everybody in the US, not everybody, but lots of people in the US didn't take the pandemic as seriously as we did here. And that was very incorrect because in some ways I feel like at least people in San Diego were a little bit stricter. For instance, everybody was wearing surgical masks, not just cloth coverings, but like full-on surgical masks. Actually, in my entire visit, I think I only saw one place that sold fabric masks. Everything else was like surgical. Then also, I think in terms of personal space, they really took social distancing seriously. And I know here it's not as easy to do because we are in a tight space, and there it's much easier to do. So I think it was easier for them to kind of acclimate to that. Also, a lot of restaurants would not allow you to eat there unless you had evidence of double vaccination, which in the UK, you do have that for clubs and I believe large venues, but definitely not for restaurants. So in some ways, I feel like in the US, at least parts of the US, they are a little bit stricter than here, which was really fascinating to see. And I don't know if anyone else noticed that as well, because there was also kind of an overwhelming mentality of we need to be careful that you have here to a degree, but I felt like it was even more hardcore there. I don't know. So has anyone else noticed that as well, coming from the UK or another country into the US? And also, have you lived in a different country and had this weird experience of going back to your home country and noticing these little random things that you had never noticed living there that now like seem like huge and weird, like pickup trucks for me? I don't know. Let me know in the comments below, and let me know if you're okay with all this lighting and weirdness, and hopefully the mic is okay too. I don't know. I guess we're gonna be seeing in the editing. Thank you so much for watching. Please feel free to subscribe below. I am going to be bringing so much content your way so soon. Just hang in there with me, and I'm excited to see you soon. Bye!